Hey, everybody, and welcome to episode 6 of The Real Show, where we are real people giving you real content on real estate. So, in tonight's episode, we have decided to step our game up a little bit and give you a deep dive into the first 3 steps of the buying process. So, today we're going to talk about the first 3 things that you should do when you go to buy a house. So, the first thing we're going to talk about today is getting pre-qualified for a mortgage. The second thing we're going to talk about today is hiring a realtor. And the third thing is designing and defining your dream home. So the first step in the home buying process, which our recommendation is if you get that idea, you want to buy a new house, this is the first thing you should do is getting pre-qualified for a mortgage. So Alfredo, talk to us a little bit about the pre-qualifying stage and process and what that's like.
All right, awesome. Thanks, Jordan. Hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. So I'm going to chat on the whole finance side of things, as that's what I do. And so the first thing you want to do is you want to pick an agent. You want to pick an agent that's going to be there for you. You want to pick an agent that's compatible with you. So, make a few phone calls if you don't have someone that you've already worked with and you've established a relationship with, because this person is going to be very important in the whole process, the whole buying process for you. You want to set that tone with the agent. You want to voice out your needs, and that agent will also know if they can give you back what you're asking for. You want to have that support there. So if there's questions, if you're out there with your realtor and there's a question at 6 or 7 o'clock at night, you want to know if you're able to text or email or make a phone call. And that your agent, if they don't get back to you right away, they're going to get back to you quite quickly within the hour or half hour, whatever that tone you set with them. You want to make sure that you are fully explain the process involved in qualifying. That agent needs to have that knowledge to give you the peace of mind when you're going through this process. You want to have everything explained to you. Like example, you want to have that income stuff all ready to go, the job letter, the pay stub, the tenure that you're there, because all these things are very particular with lenders. Some lenders are okay if you've only been in the role for a year. Some lenders don't like it. Some lenders are questionable because maybe you've changed jobs from, you're in the same field of work, you've just changed locations and you've had a promotion. Well, that might be okay, even though you're starting over at a different location. So there's lots of knowledge that your mortgage person should have and be able to communicate with you. That way, for whatever situation you're in, they can kind of give you an idea. They should always be advising you, like in regards to credit, something that will help you in the qualification process is being on top of your credit, making sure your payments are on time, making sure your balances are low, making sure your credit score is high, because the higher your score, the more purchase power you have, because you qualify on so much money based on your score. So if your score is low, you're not going to be able to get the maximum amount purchase price than if you had a really good score with credit history, with repayment history. So that's something that you want to take into consideration way before you buy your house. That way, if you have to make any adjustments, they're there to be made. And so in regards to picking your mortgage guy, if you think you're going to buy a house a year or two before, you want to make sure that you're already talking to whoever that mortgage person is going to be. Whether you go to the bank or you go to the brokers, whatever, it doesn't matter. But you want to be in touch with someone that will give you that guidance, that will give you that ability to know that when you go into the process, you're taken care of because everything has been taken care of in advance. And example of these, there's like for me, I offer people it's cool little like budget sheets. So it's like pretending to play house. You can set your utilities, the costs, what your mortgage payment would be on what you qualify for, and then you would have a deeper understanding of it. Are you comfortable purchasing a house of that much cost, like that price? Or maybe you want to buy something a little bit less and work your way up into that. There's also sheets for when you go looking at a home, is it something where you get in this big aha moment and you're just, this house looks beautiful, but when you really look at it, there's things that need to be adjusted, maybe the windows, maybe a furnace. So we have checklists. We also have lists where we tell you, okay, this is the team you need to set up. You know, you need to have your lawyer, you need to have your realtor, you need to have, because when you're in it, there's just so much going on that your mind just goes fuzzy. And that's why you need a good team and good people that work with you and advise you and are on top of it for you. That way you're on top of it yourself. And also the knowledge on the lenders. So, you know, some people work with a lot of lenders, and maybe there's a particular thing that that is in your situation, so we have to go a specific way. So that agent should be able to say, okay, you know what, we're going to cut these people out because they're just going to be a problem. Or people, I mean lenders. So we're going to not use these lenders, but we're going to use these lenders, you know, and that's someone self-employed against somebody who works at a company, or somebody who's, you know, retired and has certain income we can only use. Well, maybe we'll go to someone who, you know, is a little bit more flexible with them. So there's lots of things to consider. And I think that if you prepare in advance, this transaction will go much smoother than if you just wing it and then last minute you're like, oh my God, I put an offer in and then now I need to find a mortgage guy, and you know, you may choose the one that isn't right for you or not compatible, and then things are just really stressful. So that's kind of my 2 cents on the whole finance side. You know, you just always, as always, you want to make sure you're qualified. You know, everything is reviewed, the credit, the income. That way you have a true sense of where you can buy and how much you can buy for, because you don't want to waste your time or anyone else's time and then all of a sudden have to go back to the drawing board.
Right.
So, right, Jordan? I mean, I know that we've had experiences before where, you know, it's frustrating. So now on your side, you know, tell us what is picking a realtor. How do you decide on what the credentials are for a realtor?
Just to back up for a second, going on the pre-qualification side of it,
Okay.
you know, the obvious reason you get pre-qualified is to find out how much you can actually afford and what those payments are going to look like. Those I find are probably the two things that people are most interested in when they start. But like you mentioned, the other thing that people need to look at is, can I qualify? You and I have both been through this, you know, probably more times than we would like, where you get a week, 2, 3, 4 weeks into the buying process and then realize you can't actually qualify for a mortgage. So at that point, you've wasted your time, everybody else's time. And so the first thing, obviously, to us is that you need to get pre-qualified to find out that you can qualify, how much you can qualify for, and how much those payments are going to look, what those payments are going to look like. So the next step number 2, you've gone to your mortgage agent, you've picked your mortgage agent, you've pre-qualified for a certain amount. Now it's time to go shopping. So the first thing that you need to do is pick your buyer's agent, pick your realtor. So whether you're working with a buyer specialist from a real estate team or a solo agent who is going to be working with listings and with buyers, there's a couple things that you need to really focus on. So the first thing is you need to make sure that they are either experienced and or have a support network to help them if things come up. So what I mean by that is, ideally you'd like to pick an agent who has experience dealing with buyers, actually getting deals done, somebody who's been through multiple offer scenarios before, somebody who's got a little bit more experience, so that if things happen really quickly, you find that house and everything's happening within a day or two, that you've got somebody who can keep their cool under pressure. Now, having said that, I'm in my first few years of real estate as well, and I certainly wouldn't want somebody to discount me because I hadn't been in the industry for 10, 15 years. So one of the things that you need to look at if your realtor doesn't have a ton of time experience is somebody who works for a brokerage that has a good support network. So typically a larger brokerage, well, they've all got a broker of record, office manager. Typically at a big brokerage, you've got 2 to 5 people at that brokerage that can help out if anything comes up that the agent is unsure about. So ideally, you'd find somebody with experience and somebody that works for a brokerage that's going to be able to support them if an oddball scenario comes up. So that's the first thing that you want to look at when you hire a realtor. The second thing you want to look at is, are they available? So different from listing a house, where essentially, it's more complicated than this, but essentially they list the house, you do all the prep, you get the house on the market, then you wait for the showings to happen and they bring in the offers and you present it. A buyer's agent will typically drive around from anywhere from 1 to 30 listings with their buyers to try and find that right house. So you need to find somebody that is working in real estate full time. So it's important to know that there's a lot of realtors that aren't in real estate full time. You need to find an agent that works full time in the industry and somebody that's actually available to take you on showings. It's great to hire a busy realtor. You know, my grandfather always used to say, if you want something done, ask a busy person. But you need to make sure that you've got somebody that actually has the time to take you around and on fairly short notice. So those are the things that you need to look at when you hire a realtor. So on to the third part of this process, step number 3, defining your dream home. So when it comes to picking the house, and when I say this, I don't mean going on MLS and realtor.ca and looking at houses right away. I'm talking about either if it's just yourself or it's you and your spouse sitting down and defining what you would actually love to have in your dream home. So real quick, Alfredo, are there any implications from a mortgage standpoint when it comes to picking your dream home?
When picking your dream home, from the mortgage side of things, you want to make sure there are certain things that lenders may feel a little discouraged to lend on. I mean, square footage is a thing. We've talked about condos versus homes, and square footages in condos, it has to be a certain amount of square feet. It can't be too small because lenders don't really approve of that. So if you're looking at a condo purchase, and you know how we feel about that, you know, you really want to bring in all the information to your mortgage guy so that they can say, hey, you know what, we're going to have some issues if they're building and this is going to close down the road. If you're looking at a house and let's say you're going into the rural sections, you want to make sure it has all year-round access. If it doesn't, it may cause some problems and you may be very limited on the lenders. Also, the water systems, if it's on well and septic, some lenders may have issues as well. So there's lots of different little things to take into account. And that's just something that's part of the beast. And if you're informing your mortgage people, they are going to make sure they make you aware of what comes if you do decide to choose that property with your realtor.
Awesome. So to get back into the real estate side of things, when it comes to defining your dream home, we're actually going to blend this part in with our pro tip section, Alfredo's favorite part of the show.
Our pro tip time.
I'm going to give you a list of 10 things that you should do before you see your first house. So these are things that you and your spouse, or you, if it's just you, need to sit down, a few lists you need to make, but 10 things that you need to consider. So the first thing that you need to consider is making a list of all of the things that you consider must-haves in your new house. So whether that's a 2-car garage, a walk-in closet, an ensuite in the bathroom, in the bedroom, whatever that is, you need to make a list of all the things that are absolute must-haves. The second list you need to make is a list of all the things that you absolutely do not want. So whether that's a pool or whether it's being on a busy road, you need to make a list of the things that you do not want to see in your next house. The next thing you need to do is set a monthly budget. So Alfredo, we talked at the beginning about getting pre-qualified for a certain amount. So let's say hypothetically you got pre-approved for $400,000 and it was going to be X amount of dollars per month. You need to set a monthly budget because you may not be okay with X amount per month. It doesn't mean that because you qualified for it on a mortgage that you're comfortable paying it. So you need to figure out that monthly budget that you're okay with. The next thing you want to figure out is how many years are you going to be in that house? So there's going to be a big difference in the house you pick based on whether you're planning on being in the house for 2 years or if you're looking for your forever home. You need to define before you buy your house, ideally, how long you would like to live there. The next thing you want to look at is important factors in the surrounding areas. So do you want to be near a park? Do you want to have lots of trees around? Do you need to be near a school, public transportation? So the surrounding areas can make a big impact on people's lives. You need to define all the things you would like to see and all the things you would not like to see in your surrounding area. The next thing you want to look at is the commute time to work. So if you're moving, whether you're renting or you currently own a house, you're going to be commuting to work. And you need to look at, are you going to be increasing your commute time? Are you okay with increasing your commute time? Those types of things. So let's say you want to be in a specific area. It's got all these surrounding area things that you like, but it's going to add 20 minutes to your commute in the morning. You need to decide if that's okay with you. The next thing you need to do is make a very short list, but you need to pick the 2 most important rooms in a house. So if you're somebody that needs a big garage, or you would like an ensuite, or you want a chef's kitchen, what are the 2 rooms in your house that mean the most to you? So that's going to help you when you go and start looking at houses. You're never going to find the perfect house, but if you find a house that the kitchen and the basement were the 2 most important things, and you've got a spectacular kitchen and spectacular basement, you may be okay with the fact that the powder room is not so nice. The next thing you need to do, this is number 8, is figure out where you stand with your current house. So let's say you're renting or you're living with mom and dad, then you're pretty flexible. You don't have to worry about selling a house. You don't have to worry about the proceeds from your sale. If you live in a house, you need to make a plan with your realtor mortgage agent around that. You need to find out where you stand currently, what your flexibility is in terms of move time, and how much capital you're going to have available from the sale of your house if you own. Number 9, you need to make a list of the things you like and dislike about where you currently live. So the easiest way to make those lists in step 1 and 2 is take a look at where you're living right now. Maybe you love the fact that you've got a great location. Maybe you love your current kitchen, but you hate your master bedroom. Make a list of the things that you like and dislike about your current house. And number 10, make a list of the times that you're available to go and see houses. So in step number 2 of this process, we talked about having an agent that's available to go and see houses. You need to make sure that you're available as well. There's a lot of times where I'm working with buyers and I'm ready to go, and my clients just can't get on the same page in terms of when they are available to go and see houses. So before you start looking, pick times that work for you. So if you decide that after work is the best time for you, let your realtor know that so that you guys can coordinate your schedules. So those are 10 tips, 10 things that you should look at before you start the buying process in order to set a foundation. So Alfredo, the real reason that we love this topic, and the real reason that this is the topic for today's episode, is it's all about setting a foundation. So when you go and buy a house, when you start the buying process, it's all about setting a foundation before you start looking. So picking your mortgage agent, getting pre-qualified, finding the right realtor, going through these lists of all the things that you want to define the perfect house for you. This is a foundation that you need to set when you start the process so that when you're 1, 2, 3 weeks in, you know exactly what you're doing. There are so many buyers that get 3, 4, 5 weeks into the process and they haven't been pre-qualified yet. They're not really sure what they're looking for. They've spoken to 2 or 3 agents. They've been spending a lot of time on realtor.ca. That's when it gets very confusing. So these 3 things are things that people need to focus on to set a solid foundation so that they can enter the buying process as educated as possible.
I agree 100%. And I think the main theme in all of that is communication. You have to be in communication. If you're buying it with your spouse, you have to be in communication with your mortgage agent, with your realtor, and with the whole team. Because once the whole team is communicating, the process is really smooth and it's really easy. And I know I've heard of some terrible processes out there that like people have gone through like some really stressful times, but it might be intimidating, but it doesn't need to be stressful. And that's why we do this. We do the show for you guys to create awareness.
Alfredo, the best part to me about this whole thing is everything that we've talked about today costs you this much. It's free.
Absolutely.
Going to your mortgage agent, hiring a buyer's agent to help you find your house. It's free.
It is. There's no cost. There's some time involved, but it's to your benefit. It's not, like it's only for benefit. So if it's free, why not get that opinion, get that advice?
Exactly. So everybody, thank you so much for watching. This has been episode 6. We're super excited. Things are going really well. We can't wait next week for episode number 7. Make sure you tune in next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everybody.